All right, let's take a trip back to the mid-1980s, Los Angeles. Picture this. You've got the sunshine, the palm trees, the whole city is buzzing for the upcoming Olympics. It really felt like a city living the dream. But, just under that shiny surface, something dark was brewing. A shadow that was about to unleash absolute terror on the entire city. For over a year, that one name, the Night Stalker, changed everything. Doors that were literally never locked were suddenly getting deadbolts. Windows were being barred up. The city, known for being so open and full of energy, just shut down. It was paralyzed by fear. So let's get into it and unpack how one single person could hold millions of people captive in their own homes. So who exactly was this shadow? Well, the man behind that terrifying name, the Night Stalker, was Richard Ramirez. And his story, it doesn't just start with the murders. No, it starts way earlier with a really troubled youth that kind of set the stage for all the horror that was about to unfold. Now, when you look at this, it's basically a blueprint for our predator. Born down in El Paso, his childhood was just filled with instability and violence. Then he moves to California, and this is where he starts to develop a very specific set of skills through petty crime. Think about it. Burglary, car theft. That taught him how to be invisible, how to get into people's houses, how to navigate the massive, sprawling map of LA. And those skills? They're the exact same ones that would make him one of the most elusive serial killers in American history. So with that background, he was basically ready to level up from petty theft to just unimaginable violence. And in the summer of 1984, that's exactly what happened. The siege of Los Angeles began. This state right here, this is when it all started. The very first murder that police would link to the Night Stalker, a 79-year-old woman, killed in her own apartment. And this was only the beginning. From here, the attacks would just escalate, becoming more frequent and so much more brutal. And here it is. This is the key. This is what made the Night Stalker so uniquely terrifying. He had absolutely no pattern. None. His victims had no type. He attacked everyone from young children to the elderly. He used all kinds of weapons, guns, knives, you name it. And the crime scenes were all over LA County. This randomness, you guys, it was psychological warfare. It meant that nobody, and I mean nobody, felt safe. He wasn't just killing people, he was injecting total chaos and even satanic symbols right into the heart of the city, making every single person feel like they could be next. And what does that do to a city? It sends it into an absolute panic. Fear wasn't just some story on the nightly news. No, it became a part of daily life. Gun sales went through the roof. People welded their windows shut on scorching hot summer nights. Entire neighborhoods just went silent after dark. For millions of people, living in constant fear just became the new normal. So while the city is basically on lockdown, law enforcement is facing a problem they have never seen before. You see, they weren't just hunting a man, they were hunting a ghost, someone who seemed to be everywhere and nowhere all at the same time. Really, think about that. How do you possibly catch a killer with no pattern? This was the question that was just haunting every single detective on this case. All the usual police work, like profiling, totally useless. He didn't have a type of victim. He didn't have a consistent method. He was a phantom, and the cops were always one step behind. Let's break down exactly why he was so hard to find. There were 3 huge problems. First, like we said, the randomness of the crimes made profiling a non-starter. Second, he was slippery, often leaving behind almost no usable forensic evidence. And third, and this was a big one, his crimes were spread across tons of different cities and police departments. You have to remember, this is the 80s, before everything was digitally connected. Trying to connect the dots was a logistical nightmare. For more than a year, it just felt like this terror was never going to stop. But the breakthrough, when it finally came, it didn't happen in some police station. It happened out on the streets, thanks to the very people that Ramirez had been terrorizing. This timeline is it's unbelievable. It's like something out of a movie. On August 30th, the cops finally get a name and a face from a tip, and they blast his mugshot all over the news. Less than 24 hours later, Ramirez, who has no idea his face is everywhere, gets spotted in East LA. And what happened next is just incredible. The people in the neighborhood, they recognized him, and they didn't run. They chased him, they cornered him, and a group of residents physically took him down and held him there until the police could arrive. His reign of terror wasn't ended by a SWAT team. It was ended by a group of regular citizens who basically said, no, not here, not in our neighborhood. So Ramirez is caught. The entire city takes this massive collective sigh of relief. But the scars he left behind, on the community, on the justice system, those would last forever. So what was the final tally? Well, for Ramirez, justice was served. He was convicted of 13 murders, got the death penalty, and eventually died on death row from cancer. But his legacy for the city was actually really complex. This case literally forced police departments to change how they talk to each other, how they share information. It was a revolution in coordination. And for the community, it created this whole new level of vigilance, this feeling that keeping each other safe was everyone's job. And that's really why we're still talking about this case today. The Night Stalker story isn't just some scary tale. It's a critical case study for criminal psychology. It's this chilling reminder that evil doesn't always look like some monster in the shadows. Sometimes it can be the person standing right next to you. So, I'll leave you with this question to chew on. When we look back on this whole thing, what's the real story? Is it about the evil of one monster? Or is it about the incredible strength and resilience of a community that just refused to give in to fear and in the end, took the monster down themselves? You know, it's easy to get lost in the horrifying details of the case, but we can't ever forget that behind all the headlines, there were real people, real lives that were either stolen or just changed forever. This explainer is for them. Our goal here wasn't just to tell a scary story, but to try and understand what happened and to remember the victims. Thank you for joining us.